season on hand at the Carrier Dome in Syracuse, New York, as the regular season Big East Championship comes down to one final game. The Georgetown Hoyas against the Orangemen of Syracuse. And take a look at the standings. Connecticut a winner last night. If Syracuse wins, however, they capture the tiebreaker. But if Georgetown wins, we'll have a coin flip right after the conclusion of this game between UConn and the Hoyas. So good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I'm Brent Musburger along with Billy Packer. Billy, I think the implications for this one go far beyond just the Big East.
I would agree with you, Brent. I think the winner of this game today is #1 seed in the East in the NCAA tournament this year, so a lot on the line. And if the things go the other way, Syracuse and Georgetown could have to face each other in the semifinals of the Big East tournament. A lot riding on this one.
You bet. The first game was a surprise. Syracuse went into Landover and shocked Georgetown by 19.
It was a surprise to me, not only their victory, but the fact that Georgetown accepted the Syracuse style. You don't want to play this team a 100-point game. I think today we'll see a little cat and mouse from John.
What's the marquee between these two teams? What should the fans look for?
Well, Brent, we have so many great players around the country, and these two teams are blessed with some of the very best. Morning and Mutombo, the great twin tower combination for the Hoyas, are outstanding in every facet of the game. But they're going to be going up against today two guys that may be even more flexible in what they can do in the game, Owens and Coleman from Syracuse. Great players, great game, great place to be today.
Well, Derek Coleman, just moments ago, alongside his mother and an uncle and his high school coach, introduced to the throng here in Syracuse for the final time and hugging his roommate, Stevie Thompson, as these two great stars today will close out their career inside the Carrier Dome. Back with a tip-off in just a moment.
CBS Sports coverage of today's Georgetown-Syracuse game is sponsored by the U.S. Navy. You and the Navy, full speed ahead. UPS, fast, efficient service to 175 countries and territories worldwide. And by the new generation
Season and 11-4 in the Big East under Coach John Thompson will start this lineup. Up front, Anthony Allen, who is 6'7", alongside the power man up there, Alonzo Mourning at 6'10". And 7'2", Dikembe Mutombo will be in the middle. Then the senior leadership in the backcourt, the leading scorer, Mark Tillman, alongside the point man, Dwayne Bryant. Jim Boeheim is only 9-20 against Thompson and the Hoyas in his career here at Syracuse. And up front, his leading scorer is 6'9", sophomore Billy Owens. Derek Coleman at 6'10", maybe the first player selected in the upcoming NBA draft. The transfer from Kentucky, 6'10", LeRon Ellis, will be in the middle. Then in the backcourt, 5'11", Michael Edwards will set the table. And what a big job he has today, alongside Stevie Thompson, who is only 6'4", but who plays about 6'10". So we're going to come back. It's the Hoyas and the Orangemen for a Big East regular season title in just a moment. Crew, prior to the start of the game, Billy, we had an opportunity to mention to him the 3 knockdown rule may be in effect. They just laughed and said, let's go. So Alonzo Mourning, the big, strong, powerful half of the Twin Towers for the Hoyas, getting ready to see if they can avenge that embarrassment of a 19-point loss earlier in the year in Landover.
Brent, you're very correct in regard to the way this game is going to be officiated, and I think for fans to watch the first minute and a half of this game, action under the boards on putbacks, and the other thing is, what tempo can Georgetown establish half court in the first 30 or 40 seconds of this game?
Controlled by Coleman, quickly to Owens. It's 2 for the Orangemen. Bryant, the lead guard for the Hoyas. Allen drops to Mutombo and gets it back. Knocked away by Ellis. The defense, breakout Thompson. And just like that, it's 4-zip.
Not many teams can afford to play man-to-man defense against Georgetown and have their post people play behind Alonzo Mourning and Mutombo, as Coleman and Ellis are doing.
Try to watch away from the ball at the inside defense if you get it. That will determine the outcome of this game.
Well, high-low post action.
Mutombo over Coleman, rolls in a beautiful hook shot.
But if you're Jimmy Boeheim, you let him take those all day long. Good defense by Coleman. He just doesn't want to give up dunks.
Now Tillman beginning to work away, and Thompson ready to send in his first sub of the game. He'll shuttle players in and out all game long. Edwards, the three.
The exact shot that he did not hit against Notre Dame's zone. Hits it against Georgetown's man-to-man, and they'd only allow teams to shoot 28% from the three-point line.
Lead the nation in field goal defense, and Syracuse perfect early. Mutombo again, double team. Passes to Mourning, and the game's first foul is called, and quickly Limbo steps in to separate a couple of the players.
You can see Georgetown going inside early. Mutombo a great target. Even Ellis at 6'10" or 11, playing behind him, looks awful small.
First foul is against Thompson in the game. Allen is out, and number 50, Sam Jefferson, at 6'9", checks in. They gain 2 inches, and Tillman bangs in his first triple. And the pressure being applied by the Hoyas. Baseline to baseline with that great defense. Is anyone going to miss here this afternoon?
It'll happen. Good.
Got Mutombo in the air, and then came through with his shot. Off a beautiful fake. Mutombo bit, and he normally doesn't. Ryan is back, and he hits, and we're still perfect.
I back up. They won't miss. We're talking about 2 great defensive clubs here.
9-7, Syracuse leading by 2. Combined, the 2 teams are 7 of 7. Ellis puts it on the floor. First miss.
And look at Mutombo taking off, providing a good target again. Ellis has to hustle.
The triple by Bryant. Now there, Tillman with the long rebound, blocked beautifully by Owens, and Mutombo's got it and draws the foul.
Now, Brent, we have seen Mutombo this year go from a starter to a fellow who is not a starter back into the lineup. But of late, in the last 2 weeks, he has become a dominant force in the Big East. Was player of the week a week ago, and there you can see how he's so proficient. But he's playing both ends of the floor very well. Number 2 shot blocker in the nation, and getting it done offensively as well.
And he gives the Hoyas their first lead, 10-9 at the 17-29 mark.
And they've gone zone for the first time, even though Brian is screaming at Tillman to get his position.
Ellis from the corner misses. He's misfired twice into the hands of Bryant. On the drive, and the Hoyas still blazing away. Bryant's second field goal of the game. They are now 5 of their first 6 from the field, leading by 3.
And it's the 1-3-1 zone this time. It looked like they tried to flatten out and go 2-3 before. Look at where Mutombo's playing. That eliminates any three-point shots with him out there on the perimeter.
Ellis not shooting this time. Thompson wants Coleman over his head and out of bounds. And the first sub for the Orangemen. 6'10" Richard Manning checks in, and Ellis sits down. Edwards also out, and Mike Hopkins, a 6'5" guard, will move into that backcourt. Hopkins only a freshman.
Brent, what I think Jimmy Boeheim is doing right here is warning Edwards that with these changing defenses by Georgetown, he has to be aware when he crosses half court.
Mutombo's alone underneath. No basket, no shot. Fouled before he got it off. In the NBA, that would have been a continuation, but not under NCAA rules, and that's the first personal on Derek Coleman.
That's what Derek has to take away from Mutombo. Let him have the hook, but you can't let him have those 100% shots.
Cross from Mourning, and Bryant on the move. Missing. Owens off with the rebound. And here's Thompson. The Hoyas are back quickly on defense. No breakaway this time for Syracuse.
And they go back into the zone.
Thompson spins to the right, but Mutombo will seal him up, and he traveled. Trying to come out of there, he traveled.
Brent, when Stevie Thompson leads Syracuse in scoring, which shows you basically the way the game is playing, they are very, very successful. Only have lost 1 game. But he has a hard time against Georgetown because he just can't get his inside stuff off against his club.
Mourning from the perimeter. Thompson controlling.
Although Alonzo can make that shot, that's not what they want this early in the game.
Owens cut off by Jefferson. He burned Georgetown for 36 last time. And the is going to be called. It's the holding on Jefferson, his first, but they have to be very mindful of Owens. They'll run different players in off Thompson's bench, and they'll give some fouls in an effort to keep him under control. We've got our first commercial timeout, 15:47. We'll be right back. Georgetown hitting 63%, leading this one by 3 points. You know, already 3 teams have qualified. Billy, Coppin State, located just outside Baltimore, made the NCAA.
You talk about a dark horse. They beat Creighton at Creighton and Maryland at Maryland.
And Robert Morris from Pittsburgh also got in, as did Princeton again from the Ivy League.
And remember them last year against Georgetown, talking to Jimmy Boeheim and others. They feel Princeton, a better club this year, really will cause problems in the NCAA tournament with the way their style of play goes. 61 invitations still available. Syracuse and Georgetown obviously will fill 2 of them. Hopkins wanted to pass it off. Coleman thought he was going to shoot. Tillman breaks out here. And it's a 5-point lead by the Hoyas. Hopkins' inexperience against this caliber opponent cost him that time. If you're going to penetrate against Georgetown, never leave your feet. Stay on the ground with the dribble.
Billy Owens with 2, Coleman with 2.
2-1-2 zone now. John has showed 3 different looks. And now Georgetown is comfortable with the zone they're in, with Mutombo running all the way, Alonzo running across the baseline.
Very conscious of Owens. He's drawn the 2nd foul from Jefferson. As soon as he touches the ball, the Hoya defense immediately setting sail for him. In attendance today, a man who came up and said, let's play 2. So this is just like Wrigley Field. Mr. Cub, Ernie Banks, was on a promotional swing through this part of the country. Now Edwards, who has returned, the lead guard for Jimmy Boeheim.
Big back line with Jefferson, Mutombo, and Mourning here. Tough to get something off there.
So Owens missing from the perimeter, and here is Bryant gaining control, and quickly the Hoyas run the floor on offense. Jefferson off the lead. And it'll be a 2-shot foul. Coleman's 2nd of the game. Remember, it's the 6-foul rule in the Big East. Under a 5-foul rule, and Coleman would move to the bench early.
Fred, Derek has to be thinking a little better than that. You've got Jefferson, who's averaging 3 a game. He gets the ball on the perimeter. You know he's not going to take the jump shot. Derek rushed out on him and made a lane available for Jefferson to drive. Got to let that man take the shot, because more than likely he won't at this stage in the game.
Sophomore Tony Scott on the floor for the Orangemen. He's 6'8".
You know why he's in there?
40.
He's in there to shoot that jumper. Try to get something going so that they have to play honest on the perimeter so that Derek Coleman and Billy Owens and Manning can get on the boards.
Well, Syracuse jumped ahead, but it was almost too easy. The battle for the rebound won by Syracuse. And the Orangemen have gone 3.5 minutes now without scoring in this game. They're down 14-9.
Nobody guarding Scott.
Jefferson came out on him, and here's Coleman in low on the block, moved away by Bryant. Beautiful strip of the ball. 3-on-2, Tillman. And a foul called again against Syracuse, and that is number 1 on Edwards.
Brent, that's what's so tough when you play against those great shot blockers. Derek Coleman was concentrating on what he knew was behind him. Which you'll see right here. Derek knows Mutombo's behind him. He knows Alonzo, if he beats him, is on the weak side. He's concentrating on those 2 and never sees Bryant, who's waiting all along to strip him of the ball.
So, back into the game comes Anthony Allen, number 24, 6'7", and Mourning will take his first break. So Jefferson, Mutombo, and Allen will be up front. Tillman and Bryant have gone the entire game in the backcourt. Somewhat unusual for Thompson not to substitute early in his backcourt, but he's sticking with his senior leadership here.
He wants that experience, and he also realized if he goes with his smaller guard, they don't match up very well with Syracuse defensively.
Edwards, 3. That's 2 trays for the freshman point guard for Syracuse.
Edwards, a big scorer in high school, has had to accept a different role here. And with the exception of the Notre Dame game where he just couldn't get the outside shot working, he has really been a factor.
Bryant, who was very active, but Mutombo, who fell heavily inside. The three from Tillman is on the money, and the leading scorer for the Hoyas now has put 9 points up here in the first half.
Twice Big East Player of the Week. Tillman's having a great senior year.
Deflected out of bounds. Syracuse ball. Mutombo tripped up by Coleman as he is coming down the baseline.
Nobody said this would be a waltz. So, Dikembe's got to watch his feet. Back to that 2-1-2 zone with Dikembe down in there.
And Ellis back in for the Orange. Here's Scott's jump shot. Mutombo's rebound. 13-13 first half. It's 18-12. Mutombo, and he is pushed by Coleman. And that is the third foul on Derek Coleman, and he must come out of the game right now.
I don't know about that, Brent. They've got the 6-foul rule here, and Jimmy doesn't get nervous with 3. And that's a big difference. And one of the things in the NCAA tournament, there's his third, and he is going to sit. But in this particular league with 6 fouls, coaches have that ability to let a guy go, whereas in the NCAA tournament, which I think is going to come back to hurt him a little bit, you'd obviously have to yank him.
A factor in the coach's mind is that Derek Coleman had only scored 2 points. There was an emotional ceremony prior to the start of the game. Billy, you felt it might take something out of Derek's game early.
It really does. I mean, you've got so much emotion going anyway, and he's got his mom here and his coach.
Out of bounds, Syracuse ball. You can follow up on that point, brother.
Well, you know, he and Stevie have been roommates. Stevie, of course, with his mother here. They're congratulated by 33,000 people. You know it's an emotional moment, and maybe they have to come down a little bit to get their playing game together.
Thompson off the fake, got Mourning in the air, who is back, and now Scott's triple, missed everything. But Thompson winds up with it. How often have we seen Stevie Thompson come out of the pack with the ball? Deep lob, not there. Syracuse will put out a sink. Georgetown ball. It's an 18-12 Hoya lead.
And against that zone and that size, 7'2", 6'10", 6'10", very difficult to throw the lob from that far out.
If the Hoyas are impressive here today, would you vote them #1? Think about it. Off the Hoyas, Bryant hit it last. Syracuse ball. When you take a look at that top 20, Kansas #1 picked off. Vegas was beaten early last week. Missouri lost big. Connecticut was beaten. You've got to go down to Oklahoma. So it could be a vote between Oklahoma and Georgetown if Georgetown comes out of here with a win today. Something to think about. Owens on the move. And it's Bryant's ball. A breakout. They'll try to run the floor. Ellis gets back quickly. Bryant on the pull-up.
That's an offensive maneuver that not enough players use. They either pull up too soon or go too far. 15 feet is perfect.
15 points from John Thompson's backcourt. And the Hoyas lead it.
Yo, Mars Blackman here, my main men, Michael Jordan, and Professor Douglas Kilpatrick of the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. Yo, Professor, how does Mike defy gravity? Do you know?
Brent, 20-12, and the reason for that right here, you're going to see Mike Hopkins get the ball from the outside. He tries to make his move, and watch how he goes up in the air. That causes problems. Mutombo is going to play him, shut him off defensively. Alonso goes back in the back, gets the ball, and leads the break to Tillman, taking off down the court. And watch Mutombo run. There goes Hopkins in, goes up in the air. A mistake on a great pass and a lead pass to Tillman, who scores nicely on the break.
Now the Orangemen, they hit their first 4, but only 1 of 7 against this Hoya zone since then. Having trouble getting their shots. Only 3 points over the last 6:49 for Syracuse. They find themselves behind 20-12.
See how tough it is for Stevie Thompson to get where he'd normally like to operate, which is right there.
Off the roll. That's his third 3 here for the freshman point man, Michael Edwards.
Stevie Thompson did a great thing by not touching that ball on the rim, and of course his great leaping ability allowed him to stay away.
Something to think about. Georgetown has used only 6 men so far, and Mourning traveled. Ordinarily, Thompson uses more men than Syracuse. Now here comes the sixth man back in. Jefferson will replace Allen. In that first game, Billy, when you came back and told me, it was so interesting. You said you thought Georgetown was out of breath by the end of that game.
They really were. Particularly their big people. But you notice now John is being able to conserve them because he changed his lineup.
Now Ellis was wide open, Billy. Very unusual in this game. The Hoyas have been all over them defensively, and now Syracuse goes to some pressure defense. And Jefferson will bring it to length.
Nice no call by the official. Got to let this game establish its own pace, which they're doing a nice job with.
Alley-oop too deep. Bad pass. Bryant out now for the Hoyas. And Owens reaching around commits a foolish foul, his second of the game.
Brett,
and they'll be shooting 1-1.
Tony Scott may get away with that play in practice, but you do not get away with that long lob against a Georgetown club with these size players in a game.
Ronnie Thompson, the first guard sub.
See, first of all, he gives the lead, so he knows and shows that he's going to make the pass. But with Mutombo down inside, you're just not going to get that play.
Meanwhile, the ninth man to enter the game for Syracuse, sophomore Dave Johnson, who's had a very difficult second year here for the Orangemen, wearing number 4 is also in the lineup.
Most people felt Johnson was the logical choice to be the 5th starter for the Syracuse club, but he never could get that role going.
And now again, John Thompson will use another guard. So David Edwards is on the floor with his son. That's Edwards, number 10. Ronnie Thompson is number 30. Ronnie with good perimeter range. He can hurt you if you give him the shot. And the Hoyas have been blazing away offensively. Now let's see what they come up with here defensively against Syracuse.
They go with that 2-3 zone. They can play the 2-3 zone with Edwards in the game. They just don't like to be in a man-to-man situation.
Thompson's triple. Way off. Into the hands of Mourning. Hoyas lead it 24-17. Intercept on a bad pass. Billy Owens puts it on the floor. He can do it all. And so can Edwards coming in behind him. He should have given it up.
He had to realize that Edwards was coming behind him. And John gets Edwards under control. This guy gives John a heartache.
Mourning on a run. That hook shot. No basket. He traveled. That's a 6th turnover for the Hoyas.
Sometimes, Brent, Alonzo Mourning predetermines what he's going to do instead of allowing the defense to dictate his move. He did that on that occasion and needed an extra step.
He also does not have a lot of assists, though. One of the things he's going to have to learn on that pass on the inside is to dish it off to somebody. He would be lethal with that play. Knocked away from Derek Coleman to return. And it winds up in Jefferson's hands. And here is Edwards.
They respect Ronnie Thompson's shot.
Beautiful pass by Thompson to Mutombo on the assist. I believe he was throwing it to him until he had him deep.
He was, but Brent, I don't think that play should be allowed. That ball is in the cylinder. And so they've just thrown it up as if it's a shot, and they shouldn't be allowed to dunk him off the cylinder.
Blocked. Mutombo rejects Coleman off the fake again. 2 blocks by Mutombo, and a foul called outside against Edwards.
But if the ball is in the cylinder of the basket, whether it's above or exactly, see, that ball is going to be caught and it's in the cylinder. Any portion of the ball that's in the cylinder cannot be touched by another offensive player and then scored.
Ellis. Edwards has been hot from three-point land. That's his 4th 3 of the first half. He's kept them in it. 12 points, 26-20, a 6-point Hoya lead. Edwards on the turnover. Thompson will try to take it to Mourning. Fouled. He'll come up to the line. And Coach Thompson unhappy with Edwards at the other end.
Alonzo put on some track meet there, didn't he, chasing down Stevie?
Here comes the senior guard, Mark Tillman, into the game, and Edwards will sit down. And Anthony Allen in, and Mourning, along with Ronnie Thompson, also will sit.
Well, Brent, let's look at the score. We're under 10 minutes. It's 26 points up there. You're looking like at an 80-point game. I see right now that the pace that John wants isn't exactly right, nor is it for Jimmy. I'd say more in favor of Syracuse and the fact that they're both going up and down the court pretty well.
Billy, don't you find it interesting that Jim Boeheim said all week that he expected Thompson to slow it down, and yet Thompson offensively is pressuring the ball, bringing it up. It's almost like you expected this, I'm going to show you something else. Well, look at Bryant, pressure at the offensive end. He runs into his own man and travels. He ran up Jefferson's back, and Thompson's claiming there was a push that put Jefferson in front of him.
May have been, but where was Bryant going anyway? Stay in that zone, and they're matching up out of that thing now, giving Stevie Thompson the shot. They're not even getting within 8 feet of Thompson for his jumper.
Ellis staying out at the perimeter. Syracuse would prefer that he got real tough on the inside. Thompson on the move, and he is fouled by Allen, his first.
Well, Stevie did the right thing. If they're not going to guard your jumper, take the ball to the defense instead of standing out there as a lonesome end. So you've got to play the guy fairly honestly, and instead of Stevie just standing there, and that jumper's hard to make with nobody on you and no motion going. Of course, this has been hard for Stevie, too, as he's shooting these free throws.
Stevie Thompson approaches the free throw line like most of us approach the dentist chair.
Well, they've had feast or famine games at 14-32 against Seton Hall. They missed. It's tough.
Into the hands of Mutombo, and the Hoyas come back leading it by 4.
Syracuse going with the man-to-man the whole way.
Mutombo rolls in another one. I mean, he shoots it downhill when he gets up in the air.
And he had Derek playing great defense behind him, and Ellis coming over from the backside.
Imagine what it's like inside trying to get a shot off. Ellis comes up quickly, tapped away, and out to Tillman. Syracuse back defensively. Tillman on the pull-up. Hoyas continue to press away offensively. They are not slowing the pace down. And for Tillman, 11 points. He's averaging 20 points a game, hitting 48% from the field. He's the scoring leader for Georgetown. Thompson misfiring the 3. Tillman hands it off now to Bryant. Now Jefferson for the layup, and nobody challenged him.
Jimmy's going for the time.
It's a 10-point Hoya lead. It has been the Hoya defense that has turned this game around, and why not? They're leading the nation in field goal defense, holding teams to 37%. Look what they've done in their last 2 games. Both cruising wins, 26 and 28% against Nova and UConn. And now today, Syracuse at 42, but that's misleading. The Orangemen have hit only 4 of their last 15, or 27%, Billy, against this team.
Well, what's so tough for Syracuse, without the perimeter shooter, the game started off as a man-to-man game. Now Georgetown's gone to the zone primarily, giving Thompson the shot. The only guy that's made anything outside has been this man right here, Edwards.
4 3-point shots by Edwards. Coleman takes his game outside. That's his second field goal. But look at where he had to shoot it. He had to bring it out to the perimeter. Nothing easy on the inside.
But Brent, he can make that jumper, and I think it's a place that Syracuse can attack all zones, bringing Derek to the foul line.
Georgetown doing a splendid job against Billy Owens, especially here in the first half.
A little different pattern now by Georgetown, using a little clock, trying to spread Syracuse out a little bit. They run this much better when they have their 3-guard deployment. Nice shot.
Jefferson on a fake, got Ellis in the air, missed the shot. Allen with a strong offensive rebound. And Boeheim screaming that there was pushing underneath. Bryant's 3, and Allen again comes through, and it's Jefferson has it knocked away by Coleman. Off into Edwards' hands. Owens is on his left. He'll pull it up. And Tillman got a hand on it. Ellis with a strong offensive rebound. Tillman tried to steal it and fouled Edwards. That's his first. He could afford to get that one right here with 5:40 to go in the first half. Well, we've got a moment, a reminder at halftime. Greg Gumbo is here with us live, and Greg will be talking to the embattled coach at North Carolina State. You're going to hear from Jim Valvano live at halftime. So that's coming up a little bit later here. Now Hopkins, who is back. Here is Derek Coleman. He hit his last shot. That's 2 in a row from the perimeter, so he steps outside now, hits a couple of jumpers, and it's 32-26.
Fred, you hate to extend a team's defense with your great rebounder, but in the case of Syracuse, Coleman is, I think, their most consistent jump shooter.
Mourning wants it on the inside with that jump hook. Dealing with Mutombo and Mourning on the inside will give any team in the tournament a workout. As Hopkins with a 2, his first field goal of the game, and it was a 2, 34-28. Now 5 minutes to go, first half.
Obviously not guarding Jefferson or Anthony Allen when they're in the game. Syracuse laying off those, trying to help out inside.
Not a good pass. Mourning saved it, and Tillman hustled it down.
Looking to go strictly inside.
Off to Tillman, but offensive foul is the call against Jefferson, and that's his third.
Trent John's got 10 fouls, though, actually 12 fouls to use at that position with Jefferson and Allen, so he doesn't have to worry about that. What Jefferson's got to do is start pulling up on that jump shot. He's trying to take it one dribble too far, running right into that Syracuse defense.
Thompson not happy again with Edwards, barking at him to get over.
You know, I think
that was Mike Sable who he pushed away. Mike had just checked into the game, and John says, I'm not concerned about you. You just get out there and do your job.
Well, when John screams at guys, those are the guys that he loves the most. And you see he gets right in Edwards' face all the time. That freshman is getting used to taking it and coming right back. I would worry if I was a Georgetown player if John didn't shout at me. Syracuse battling their way back as John Thompson shuffles his lineup.
On the inside, Ellis fouling Mourning.
And Brent, that started down on the other end of that last rebound on the foul shot.
Mourning will be shooting.
We see on the inside, this is repercussions from the foul shot down at the other way. And how that's not a double foul, I don't know. When you get two players, it serves no purpose to call one or the other in that case. I think a double foul counts, or no foul at all. Just talk to them and say, hey, guys, let's clean it up in the middle. Alonzo, an excellent free throw shooter, has worked his way up to 81% this year.
Off with the miss. As Mourning fails to hit the front end of a 1-and-1, and Hopkins wants the ball. Now it's Edwards again. Almost his fifth. Rattled out, but Ellis with an offensive rebound, and Coleman will bring it out.
Well, you don't want
Hopkins wants that ball. Hopkins has wanted it. Coleman with still another rebound. He'll take it to the perimeter. Short. Thompson off for the Hoyas. They survived that onslaught. Derek by 4 now.
Derek fading away on that jumper as opposed to the other ones that he took. And made.
On the inside, Mourning is called for a personal foul. His second.
So there's the double foul. It finally came. They gave one to Alonzo, and they gave one to Ellis.
We've told you that the Hoya guards have been outscoring their Syracuse counterparts, but down on the inside with Mutombo leading the way with that beautiful hook shot he's developing. outscoring Syracuse 18-6. Billy Owens in particular quiet today. This is the key number. He's been held to 2 points. He scored 36 in their first meeting. Jefferson keeping the ball from Billy. In the first half of that game in Landover, Owens had 13 points. Today he has only 2, and we've got 3.5 minutes now to go. 34-30, Georgetown leading it.
Brent, he had a lot more freedom in the first game. They played strictly man-to-man, and he had his way both on the break and in the half-court setup.
Mike
Today in the
Sabo
zone,
with the
not doing
ball,
as well.
hands it off to Bryant. Spinner inside. He'll be shooting as Edwards commits his second personal. All the rest of our lineup here this afternoon. NBA action will be coming your way after the Syracuse game against Georgetown. The Bulls against the Celtics. And then after that, the final round with Paul Azinger ahead of the Doral Ryder Open after 3 rounds. Actually, he's tied for the lead with Fred Couples, who was a winner last week. Now, Michael Tate Benson has checked into the game. You'll see Benson on his Georgetown jersey, but he told me before the game that he prefers to be known as Michael Tate. If you're wondering about that story, his mother remarried, and her name now is Benson. He's enrolled in Georgetown as Benson, but he said, I was known as Michael Tate as a basketball player, and I'd prefer that. So we will bow to his wishes, and it is Michael Tate. We've got a break here at the 3:16 mark. 36-30, Georgetown leading Syracuse. Greg, thank you. So those allegations about point shaving by several players, as far as Charles Shackelford is concerned, I would suspect the IRS is about to get interested in that story. Who paid Uncle Sam taxes on that $65,000 that everyone is talking about? All right, here it is 36-30, Georgetown leading Syracuse, and the Orangemen with possession. Edwards, who's been red hot from three-point land off the fake, is short, but the foul called by Limbo.
Good job by Edwards, putting a lot of pressure on because Georgetown is now respecting that jumper.
Alonzo Mourning picked up his 3rd personal foul, and Jefferson will sit down. And it's interesting that at the 3-minute mark, Coach Thompson elects to leave Mourning on the floor. I can't imagine that lasting very long. He does not want to go to the break here and risk the possibility of Mourning picking up his 4th before the intermission. Let's see what happens.
Rennie motioned over to him. He said, be aware you have 3, holding up 3 fingers. Alonzo aware of that. Alonzo's only fouled out of 1 game this year. Remember last year, constant problems in that regard. But again, we get back to the 6-foul rule, which really helps the coach's decision-making here.
It's a 5-point Georgetown lead.
A little zone press here, and it really helps to be able to throw right over the top of it. Mutombo.
Get it to the top of the L.
Right. Nobody's even a factor. He just went right over the top of the zone press.
Tillman holds his ground. Thompson off with the rebound. Again playing way above his 6'4".
Good help by Tillman.
Edwards. And Owens is fouled. That's Benson. Michael Tate.
Brent, here is the problem for Georgetown when they try to go to the smaller lineup. Tate had Owens play right over the top of his head. They do so much better when they have Anthony or Jefferson against this particular team. So I think that John Thompson's got a tough decision to make here. He'd like to go with that smaller lineup somewhere in this game, but that smaller lineup has a hard time playing against Syracuse.
Well, he's having trouble containing freshman guard Michael Edwards, who has scored 13 points here in the first half, his career high. Owens being held to 3, so in effect, Michael Edwards has kept Syracuse in this game. Allen returning, as is Sable. So 2 subs off the bench.
Makes them a little bigger, and that saves Alonzo in the last 2:22 by picking up that number 4 that you were talking about, Brent. And the press comes back.
The trap stolen by Coleman, bringing it in on Sable. Gets it back off of Owens, knocked away, and he was fouled by Bryant. Coach Thompson upset.
I'm surprised that John does not come back with this short amount of time left and go into his 3-guard deployment. He needs Edwards to help him bring the ball up against the press. See, he has no finisher in the game against the press right now. If he uses Tillman and Bryant to bring it up, Sable's not going to finish, Anthony Allen's not going to finish, and Mutombo has to help him. So there's nobody, if you beat the press, to finish.
If one thing has changed during the first half, it has been the defensive approach of Syracuse. After Jefferson cruised in uncontested for a layup, Boeheim called timeout.
Oh, there's a technical.
Now Thompson gets a technical from Burr.
Boy, and that is a big, big problem for John, because he not only is going to have the foul, Syracuse gets the ball back with a chance to take the lead. John's going to get another one if he doesn't watch it. Uh-oh, he's on the court.
Thompson's going to get tossed out of here.
The third one sends you out of the ball game. He may be out of here.
Thompson's going to get tossed out of here.
Unbelievable that John would have lost his cool.
He lost it.
Now the
And was ejected from the game, I believe.
Brett, the referees are talking it over as to whether it's 3 or 2. And John is still cursing him. He needs to calm himself down. I'm surprised that Craig Esherick doesn't get John and get him under control. And you can see the official score trying to find out whether it's 3 or 2. I think John thinks he's gone.
Each of the 3 referees gave him a technical.
We're looking at 6 free throws and the ball out of bounds plus the second part of the 1-and-1. Now, John wasn't real upset at first, but he kept working Jimmy Burr. And that was a mistake, because you're talking about a very big-time referee. You're going to see the beginning of the technicals now. And now that Derek can get into motion, it helps him.
First miss in 4 attempts. Have you seen anything like it? Derek Coleman and Syracuse into the lead.
Right, Brent, that's the 6, plus they have the second part of the 1-on-1. And what's interesting, that's why guys in practice can shoot 85%. They get on that line and they get into motion. So Derek had an opportunity to just get it rolling. They go from 2 down to 4 up.
He makes 7 of 8. 3 technicals, and he was also shooting on the foul. It's 40-36. Syracuse now up by 4. And Owens buries the 3, and the game is turned completely around on the 3 technical fouls against John Thompson.
That's 10 points on 1 possession. I've never seen that in basketball.
A 10-point play by the Orangemen.
Well, of course, I saw Missouri-Notre Dame yesterday, so I should expect anything in the game the way it's played now.
Now they're also without their leader. The game is turned completely around. I can't believe that John Thompson would allow himself to lose his cool completely and get tossed out of this game in the first half. Remarkable. A Big East championship is at stake here.
More
than a
than
possible #1 seed in the NCAA.
And Brent, it looks like from watching the sidelines that Craig Esherick is going to be the fella taking over the duties as the head man.
12 unanswered points in the last minute. 7 of them at the free throw line by Derek Coleman. 7 points in succession at the line.
And what's so tough here, Eddie Spriggs, who's another one of John's assistants, is the one that walked out with John. So he's the only one that's had contact with John since he left the bench. So maybe Eddie Spriggs for this last minute has to take over.
Sable runs it down, and Tillman off the fake. Matumbo comes down with the rebound.
And I think if I were Spriggs, I'd call a timeout to get my team reorganized.
Tillman buries the triple, and that's 14 for the Hoyas' leading score. A 5-point Syracuse lead. Last minute of the first half. In an incredible first half here at the Carrier Dome.
Jimmy Boeheim playing it right here. You want to go in with an opportunity to be up by no less than 5 and maybe move it to 8. And the way Derek Coleman's been shooting, he's the guy I'd sure want to have at least a chance to shoot that jumper.
Now 5 seconds. Syracuse will have to hurry. Down to 1. Coleman did not get it off. The horn did not sound, but referee Jim Burr picked it up that it had zeroed out. Now, they waited too long to get into their offense, and that gives the Hoyas 6 seconds. So a little bit of a tactical error here by Syracuse.
You know what I think happened to them, Brent? I think they were looking at the clock instead of the 45-second shot clock, because they started to go into their offense with 10 seconds to go, which would be about right, but it really was only 4 seconds. Derek sits so he doesn't pick up his 4th. Good move by Boeheim.
2 seconds. Bryant, and it's blocked by Ellis. The end of the first half. 45-40. And our coverage of NCAA basketball will continue after this. A 10-point play by Syracuse after a remarkable turn of events. After the first of a 1-on-1 successfully hit by Derek Coleman, John Thompson picks up 3 technical fouls, is kicked out of the game. Coleman hits 6 of 7, and then Billy Owens nails a 3-pointer. And Syracuse takes the lead, 45-40. So, Billy, who will run the Georgetown team now in the second half?
Well, you can go to any one of 3 assistant coaches, but my idea would be Craig Esherick. I would really think that Craig would be the guy that would probably take over the controls.
Anthony Allen from the perimeter. Coleman was looking long, and it sort of slipped out of his hand. 45-40.
With that rebound, Derek comes 5 away from being the #2 all-time rebounder in modern college basketball.
Inside the zone, and Matumbo got behind it, but Coleman winds up with possession.
Great
He
dive.
kept the dribble too long, and Tillman stayed with it. But it's a held ball, and it goes to Syracuse. They retain possession. They'll take the ball out of bounds, but now the possession arrow will swing toward Georgetown here in the second half.
Brent, Derek got too cute there. He had to realize Tillman has an advantage that far away from the basket on him. Should have picked up his dribble and given it up.
Owens, Ellis, Coleman, Edwards, and Thompson start the second half for the Orangemen. And Edwards bangs in another one. That's 15 points for the freshman point guard.
And he was 3 for 15 on that same kind of shot against Notre Dame, which buried Syracuse here.
Who does he think he is? Sherman Douglas? Now for the Hoyas, it's Tillman, rattled out. And Matumbo, but it's taken by Owens. Lead pass, slickly in behind Bryant to Thompson.
There's where Stevie can finish the break. Matumbo down on the floor, nobody back to block the shot, and Stevie really can go inside on that situation. Straight man-to-man again.
Inside the Morning, who was quiet in the first half. That's only his second field goal, 4 points. It's a 49-42 Syracuse lead.
One of the things, Frank, Syracuse doing a good job. They're getting used to this 2-1-2 zone. Georgetown stayed in it, the matchup, a long time. Syracuse is finding some holes. There you go.
We got the foul on Matumbo.
They now recognize the defense very nicely. You remember early in the first half, Jimmy Boeheim took Edwards out to get him to recognize the defense. Now Edwards is doing it, and there are some holes.
The consequences of this loom large. If Syracuse wins and winds up tied with Connecticut, they win the tiebreaker outright. They will have the top seed in the Big East tournament next weekend in Madison Square Garden, and beyond that, Billy Packer speculated earlier that they could wind up with the first seed in the East. Thompson in, and Tillman is out. Off Ellis's hands and out of bounds.
Good block out by Ronnie Thompson.
Well, the inside scoring that we have featured, Mutombo led the way there. It was 18-8 at the free throw line. And, of course, 7 of 8 in that one sequence for Coleman. And the field goal percentage, 58 for Georgetown, of 43 for Syracuse. But one play, a 10-point play, turned this game completely around. As John Thompson is booted from the game after quickly picking up a technical foul from each of our 3 officials, Jim Burr, Pete Pavia, and Larry Limbaugh. Into Mourning. Against Ellis, he squeezes the trigger.
Good defense
by Coleman, and it's back to Bryant. Short, and Owens with control. Here's Edwards. On the inside to Ellis, partially blocked again by Mutombo. And the foul is against Syracuse in the backcourt. And against Ellis, his second.
Brent Mutombo, as I said, the #2 shot blocker in the nation, but more importantly, he blocks them with soft hands. On that one, he not only made the block a la Bill Russell, but controlled the ball, which is a great ability. Georgetown's changing their set now. 2 big postmen up top, trying to extend the defense out to get a lob.
Bryant, Jefferson, Tillman, and the Twin Towers. Mourning and Mutombo. Nobody close to the basket. Mourning trying to battle his way in. It doesn't matter as Bryant buries the 3. 14 for the game for Bryant. It's 50-45 Syracuse. Coleman elects not to challenge Mutombo. Let's see what happens this time. Off the fake, he rolls one up on the big fella.
Showing you that great inside-outside
Jefferson, no, they didn't get back defensively, and the Hoyas make them pay. A lapse as they lost contact with the ball. The pass got through, and it's 5 again. Coleman will come to the free throw line and shoot a pair, and Mourning now is playing with 4 personal fouls, and Craig Esherick must make a decision.
And he does.
He will take him out. And Anthony Allen checks in.
Brent, don't you get the sense that Georgetown really hasn't recovered from John leaving? I mean, there doesn't seem to be any sense at all. And that should be obvious, but I mean, they really haven't recovered yet to make it look like they have a direction in which they want to go this second half.
I've never seen anything quite like it.
Well, John was banished from a game in 1975 against Randolph-Macon, so this is his second time in his career. He has exited with 3 technicals.
Better Randolph-Macon than Syracuse for a conference title. Bryant tapped back in now by Mutombo, and that's 11 points for Dikembe Mutombo. 53-49, 16 minutes of regulation.
And a change in the defense, man-to-man now. And I think a good move by Georgetown. Changed the look a little bit on this end of the floor.
Edwards ships it to Coleman. Draws the double, and he hits Stevie. His roommate sends it back. So Coleman will take the 3. 19 points now for Derek Coleman.
Jimmy Boeheim looked over here, lifted up his eyebrows and said, "Take that for Player of the Year."
And Thompson with the personal foul, and since you brought that issue up, we might as well discuss it. The Sports Illustrated cover jinx certainly struck again last night, didn't it? Gary Payton of Oregon State featured there, and Arizona held him to 5 points and 5 assists. He was averaging 26.9 points and 8.5 assists. So we put together, Payton certainly would be included, but how can you overlook Lionel Simmons, Chris Jackson, Dennis Scott, and Derek Coleman, who was not even mentioned in the SI article by Curry Kirkpatrick, who is up here looking firsthand at this game today. I was kidding him before the game began, and he took it good-naturedly. He said, I guess when I show up, Derek doesn't play that well.
He is playing well today. There'll be no rim three-point, however.
So with 15:33 to go, it is 56-50. Syracuse leading Georgetown.
The madness is coming. And by Wheaties. Better get your whole grain. Better eat your Wheaties.
Well, here in the Carrier Dome, a crowd in excess of 33,000. They break the on-campus attendance record for this showdown. Syracuse taking the lead with 2:14 to go in the first half on what turned out to be a 10-point play, as John Thompson was assessed 3 technical fouls and kicked out of the game. Thompson on a beautiful drive, can't put it away. Mutombo winds up giving it right back to Thompson. And Ellis over the top. Loose. Coleman with a great reach saves it for Syracuse. Bryant, with fresh respect for Edwards, staying out on him in this half. Thompson, and a foul is drawn by Allen. Offensive foul on Stevie Thompson, his 3rd of the game, as Allen takes the charge.
And Brent, Stevie, with that great hustle of his, normally connects down inside against people that don't have Mutombo's size. But they really give him problems in there with that great shot block. Nice
coming
job.
The baseline, and Ellis all over him defensively.
Doing a great job defensively.
Now fronting him, taking the pass away. Bryant missing the 3. Tillman can't tap it in. Owens has it stolen by Mark Tillman. And Tillman off the fake will come inside Thompson on the runner. And a foul goes against Tillman, his 2nd on the charge. So as we mentioned, a new on-campus record. There it is, 33,015. The largest previous crowd was for a game against Connecticut back in February, 32,820. For 6 straight years, Syracuse has led the way in attendance in college basketball. The Carrier Dome has turned out to be a fabulous facility for the Orangemen.
Time now to get that ball to Derek Coleman. There he is.
Bangs in the jump shot. 8 points for the game.
With Alonzo on the bench, Georgetown has to find that 3rd scorer. They got Bryant and Tillman. Mutombo has been doing a pretty good job, but now silenced by Ellis. So somebody will have to pick up the slack for him. They stay in the zone, matching up. Really spreading this matchup zone out is Syracuse, but they have nobody that can bury the jumper outside. Smart by Edwards to stay away from Mutombo.
Ellis got Jefferson on the move, missed his jump shot.
Brett, the jump shot is there all day, but who's going to be the guy to pick up the slack?
Lost his dribble. Allen jumps it into Mutombo to the floor, and Ellis comes away with the loose ball. Lead pass off the glass. Tillman back, but so is Ellis defensively. Tillman to challenge. And suddenly it's a 2-point game. 17 points for Mark Tillman. And Syracuse has missed his last 4, and they'll take a timeout at the 12:28 mark.
Brent, you know Tillman's going all the way. You have to stay with him.
In Paris, they lined up in the streets. In Rome, it was standing room only. In L.A. and New York, his concerts sold out in an hour. So if you want to see Paul McCartney and his new band, get in line early and get out your Visa card. Because a concert like this doesn't take place every day, and it doesn't take American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
It's Wednesday morning in Ford County.
Hey, Dad, is it really true that full-size Chevy pickups have more two-sided galvanized steel than Ford?
That's right, son. The electrolytic deposition of zinc on steel protects it from chemical oxidation.
But I mean, if it helps stop rust, how come a big company like Ford doesn't use as much as Chevy?
I don't know, son. I just don't know.
Rust protection. No wonder people from Ford prefer Chevy trucks. Nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America.
Pizza Hut has a great new way to get your family together. An NCAA mini basketball. Now you can get one for only $2.99 with every Pizza Hut pizza you buy.
Yeah.
The mini basketball is fun to play with. And Pizza Hut knows that the family that plays together is always showing off. The mini basketball is just $2.99, but hurry, supplies are limited. Pizza Hut, making it great.
This game summary is sponsored by Pizza Hut, an NCAA corporate sponsor. Pizza Hut, making it great.
And 8 of those free throws were shot by Derek Coleman during the sequence which John Thompson ejected from this game. Coleman, who started slowly, has come on with 19 points. Alonzo Mourning, with 4 personal fouls and only 4 points, has been watching and continues to watch from the Hoya bench. With 12:28 to go, it is a 2-point game as the Georgetown defense starting to shut down the Syracuse attack. Thompson on the inside, lays it in underhand, and is a challenge for Mutombo.
Took the short step on the drive. Sable back in the game, which is a strange look for Georgetown at this point. You know, it doesn't provide him with the experience for this kind of game.
Hopkins against Sable. Edwards is out on Bryant. Bryant. Loose ball. Out of bounds. It'll be Georgetown ball. Off Hopkins. Rolled out of bounds.
Billy Owens trying to play a one-man zone even though Syracuse is playing man-to-man. He's on Jefferson, but he's trying to help out on everybody else.
The 3 off the jumper, and Thompson comes out running. He trips.
And it did hit. It hit
was
Tillman.
touched by Tillman.
Yeah, it hit Tillman. Stevie lost it on the dribble. 2 hard-working players, really dedicated players, Stevie Thompson and Mark Tillman. They have made the best of their ability to become great college performers.
Missing, and Coleman's got it. He'll come up on Mutombo.
2 blocks by Mutombo. He is some force inside.
Sable bringing it up for the Hoyas. Now he hands it over to the point guard. Here's Jefferson. That's 10 points for Jefferson. It's down to 2 again.
Brent Hopkins has been brought in the game to shoot that jumper, but he's not getting open.
Owens is open. He had his career game earlier in the season at Landover with 36. Now he has 9. That was his first field goal of the second half, and it gives him 1,001 points for his career. The first sophomore to reach that figure in Syracuse history. Mutombo on the muscle was fouled by Hopkins. Near the conclusion of this game, we're going to be selecting a Chevrolet player of the game from each team. And Chevrolet will donate a $1,000 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of both Georgetown and Syracuse. 10:46 to go. Billy at 60-56 Syracuse.
Brent, you talked about Owens going over that 1,000-point mark. I think the thing that's interesting is that he's now leading the team in scoring average per game. And I realized for the first time, Jimmy Boeheim has never had a man average 20 points per game for him in all the seasons he's coached here at Syracuse. Kind of interesting. Raphael Addison had the highest at 18-4.
Edwards wrapped up, and so before committing to turnover, he calls a timeout. And our coverage of NCAA basketball will continue after this message from your local station.
The Beasts of the Big East battle for the league championship. Next Saturday, the semis. Next Sunday, the finals on CBS Sports.
This is CBS.
BMW 325i convertible, the ultimate tanning machine.
We're with you all the way.
What's never far away, no matter where you go? How do you keep that long drive from taking an unexpected turn? Who can make the difference between just a trip and a vacation?
Sports coverage of today's Georgetown-Syracuse game is sponsored by Allstate. For home, auto, life, and business insurance, you're in good hands with Allstate. The Pump by Reebok. Pump it up. And by Sharp Electronics Corporation. From sharp minds comes sharp products.
10 minutes and 45 left in regulation. 60-56. Syracuse leads Georgetown with a Big East regular season title and a possible #1 seed in the upcoming NCAA tournament on the line. And in case you just joined us, Georgetown coach John Thompson picked up 3 technicals and was ejected at the 2:14 mark. Left in the first half. Syracuse turned it into a 10-point play. They have never trailed since. Up by 4 right now. Craig Esherick, an assistant coach, calling the shots for the Georgetown bench. Jefferson from that wing. High arch, but short, and there's Mutombo. So Dikembe Mutombo is a lonely tower with Alonzo Mourning watching because of his foul trouble. Ronnie Thompson in the backcourt.
But you can see they've gone to Mutombo as their lead force with Alonzo Mourning on the bench. Now with 10 minutes to go, Alonzo with 4. You figure that they've got to come back with him soon. If a big man sits that long, he may have a hard time generating the physical nature of his game back after he's going to be on that bench almost 4 minutes. Almost 5 now.
Thompson fouling Hopkins, and he picks up 2 quick ones.
And for people who wonder about Mutombo's offensive performance today, he had 22 with 18 rebounds and 8 blocks against Villanova in a tight zone situation. So Dikembe is coming on strong here as the season winds down with his offensive performance.
Tillman takes a break at 9:58 with Bryant back on the floor.
And man-to-man defense.
This is a 3-guard attack for Georgetown. The key here is how they handle Owens defensively. And he takes a shot right away. It's a 2-point shot. A 2-pointer for Owens.
Boeheim knows when Billy Owens hits his jumper, his game explodes. No place to go in there.
I don't think they can stay small as the ball goes off Coleman out of bounds. Not sure that they can. No, they're not going to. Here comes Mourning, Billy, back into the game.
A good move. They tried to wait for the 10-minute mark to get Alonzo back in the game. He's got minimal points here today. He's got 4, I think, on the game, and he has 4 fouls. But if they're going to make it play, he's got to get back in this game.
Right away he tries, and Owens is fouled. A pushing foul underneath. And that's number 5.
And he's got to come back out. Gets in about, 4 seconds? So Georgetown has lost its 2 big men, John Thompson and Alonzo Mourning.
2 of the 3.
2 of the 3. Okay.
Dikembe Mutombo still playing his heart out. a foul on Bryant. This lineup is the one that Syracuse was hoping to see.
Well, you better believe it.
They think it's too small to handle, in particular, Owens. And let's see, Tillman will come back in off the Hoyas bench.
Well, it also opens up this man going to the foul line, Stevie Thompson, because either way Georgetown tries to match up with their small lineup, it's either Owens or Thompson going to get a small man, and both can take advantage of him. And the way Owens and Coleman can pass, they can hit Thompson down inside. Kind of negates Mutombo's effectiveness. Jimmy Boeheim talking to the officials now, saying that Georgetown players are getting into the lane too soon. You don't see Jimmy smiling at this point in the game very often. Not a Georgetown game. They did the same maneuver again.
64-58. Syracuse up 6. 9:13 to go in regulation. Tillman, Edwards, Jefferson, Bryant, and Mutombo on the floor for the Hoyas.
Well, Derek Coleman doing a job on Mutombo.
Bryant buries the open shot, and that's 16 for Bryant.
Georgetown wanting to go full court pressure to extend it a little bit, realizing they're small when they get into a half court situation. Hopkins isn't the man to bring it up against Bryant.
Thompson dishes Coleman.
Brent, here's what's causing Georgetown problems. They have to go small on Stevie Thompson. Mutombo is trying to do the job on Coleman, but when he comes over to help, Stevie has the presence of mind to throw the great pass to his roommate and four-year teammate Derek Coleman for the stop.
Coleman has averaged better than 14 points a game in his four-year career against Georgetown, and here today he's already scored 22. He's averaged 10 rebounds. He's pulled down 11. He is showing you why he is definitely a candidate for National Player of the Year. And Jefferson hitting the open shot off the bench today with 12 points for the Hoyas. 67-62 at the 8:14 mark.
Stevie posting up down inside with Bryant. So hard to handle him with a man of equal size.
Jefferson steps out on Owens. Off the dribble with the shot. Coleman going for the rebound. And the foul is called on the Hoyas. Mutombo's second.
Derek just did a power job on the inside, and Mutombo, who is strong as well, got pushed out at the last moment. Great two-handed rebound effort by Derek Coleman.
Before Derek Coleman is finished with the tournament, he figures to pass Ralph Sampson and wind up as the #1 rebounder in modern NCAA history. Remember that night against Indiana, that great NCAA championship game? As a freshman, he pulled down 19 rebounds against the Hoosiers in that losing effort.
And Brent, another thing, the mark of a great player is a guy who has big games against the top people. He has been outstanding this year against top 20 opponents.
And remember, he struggled. But against top 20 teams, he's averaging 20 points a game.
Exactly.
Jefferson, who's been a factor offensively, brings it up. On the drive, Bryant, and he's fouled by Hopkins. We want to remind you that next Saturday, we'll start off with our NCAA basketball championship preview, then a Big East semifinal one or the Metro Championship, and then after that, we'll have the rest of our championship preview and the Big East second semifinal game, which will be broadcast nationally. That's all next Saturday.
Brent, the possibility in 2 conference tournaments this year to have in the semifinal games 2 top 10 teams going head-to-head, the Big 8 and the Big East. You've got that Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma situation out there, and you have, of course, in the Big East, Connecticut, Georgetown, and Syracuse. Tough to think you'd have that kind of matchup in the semi.
Connecticut pulling for the Hoyas to rally, and then they'll take their chances with Dave Gavitt flipping that gold coin to see who's the #1 seed in the Big East at the end of the season. But if Syracuse wins, they will be #1. They win the tiebreaker against Connecticut. The bounce into Owens down low. Stayed with him defensively, and it's going to go over to the Hoyas.
Hopkins coming over the back.
69-64 is the count.
Edwards back in the game, trying to generate offense. Georgetown trying to have an offensive club on the floor and a defensive team. When they use Edwards, they're just too small on the defensive end. And Syracuse goes back to their 2-3 zone.
Alonzo Mourning watching from the bench, out with 5 personal fouls. Only 4 points for the game, and the triple is put down by Bryant. So Bryant and Tillman. Bryant with 21 points, Tillman with 17, and Jefferson with 12. They have kept the Hoyas in the thick of this, and they are back to within 2. And Edwards, he hit 4 in the first half. That's his 5th triple of the day.
And Brent, a great play by Derek Coleman. He could have tried to score on that one. Billy fell asleep in the back of the zone. Derek throwing that ball out, really the mark of a great senior play. Smart thinking.
Mutombo trying to stop Coleman. Bounce pass to Owens and a beauty.
2 sensational passing plays by Derek Coleman. Their assist, but more than that, he's really seeing the floor so well out here for his club.
Showing you why he is apt to be the first player selected by the NBA in their next draft. Bang! And Bryant puts in 2 more, and that's 23 for the afternoon.
Nothing like going into the tournament with senior guards. You know, you look at clubs that do well, and that maturity in the backcourt always helps.
Last year, Georgetown could not handle teams that got it into the 80s. Syracuse is headed there right now. More than 5 minutes to go, and they lead it 74-71.
Haven't been able to get Stevie Thompson the ball down inside. Tillman fronting him pretty well.
Edwards forces that one. Not the shot that Boeheim wanted in that situation. Hoyas can inch to within 1 or tied with a 3. And they've hit their last 5 from the field.
Look for Mutombo to get the ball. There he is.
It's a 1-point game.
Good call by Craig Esrick.
5 minutes in regulation.
These guys went to overtime last year here. You can see
Great pass to Owens again from Coleman, and he drew the foul. He'll shoot a pair, and that on Tillman is his 4th personal. Remember, it's the 6-foul rule. Mutombo very vocal in the huddle, isn't he?
He really is. He's got tremendous character. We saw that when he came on the scene last year. Very bright young man, a lot of fun to be around, and developing into an awesome performer.
That's 14 points for Owens.
And like so many of his Nigerian counterparts, he had a problem with the English language at first, and when he first came over, and that's why he didn't go immediately to Georgetown.
Timeout. Called by Georgetown. That'll leave them with 2. 4:44 to go, and we'll be right back.
Sharp. When I say sharp,
I mean business. I mean technology on the cutting edge. Sharp. Color technology, color scanners, printers, and copiers for high-impact presentation.
Sharp.
Laser fax technology, laser quick, laser clear.
I mean
microtechnology, the wizard, the electronic organizer. Information at your command.
I mean
technology on the cutting edge.
When I say sharp, I mean business.
If you've got yourself a car, and you've got yourself a house, you could be on your way to some very nice savings. Because with Allstate Homeowners Insurance and an excellent driving record, you could save up to 15% on your auto insurance. And 15% could mean big money for all the important little things.
What a day.
The Allstate Auto Advantage, another reason. A member of the Sears Financial Network.
It's Tuesday afternoon in Ford County.
Darndest thing about life here in Ford County. You'd think with a name like Ford County, people would prefer Ford trucks. Au contraire, people from Ford prefer Chevy trucks.
Always said we were on the cutting edge.
Isn't that the darndest thing?
Could it be we're the bellwether of major societal shifts?
It's mind-boggling. Nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America. Today's truck is Chevrolet.
We've got an attractive matchup coming up from Boston Garden in a little while. It'll be the Chicago Bulls against the Boston Celtics. Hubie Brown, what kind of a game do you anticipate today?
Two hot teams, the inside power of the Boston Celtics and a new addition, Michael Smith, giving him nice perimeter shooting versus the slashing penetration of the Bulls. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen highlighted here.
All right, Jordan and the Bulls. Larry Bird, of course, with the Boston Celtics. They're in the spotlight later on. Right now, let's go back to Brent and Billy.
76-73, Syracuse with the lead and 4:44 to go in regulation. An idea of timeout situation. Both teams shooting 1-on-1. Case of a held ball, it'll be Georgetown's possession. Down 3, they've got the ball.
Jimmy goes man-to-man. Stoudemire in the game, a good outside shooter from the wings, Brent. Hit a big one against Connecticut. Good backdoor cut.
Tillman.
Stevie Thompson had to go for the overplay, and Tillman, well-schooled, makes the backdoor cut on him.
Antoine Stoudemire, number 41, seeing his first game action. Defensively, he's out on Owens.
Too small for Owens.
Derek Coleman short on that one, but run down by Coleman in the corner.
Too small for Owens.
He missed his shot. Allen has it knocked away. Here comes Thompson on Mutombo, and Mutombo rejects it. Out of bounds, off Stoudemire, Syracuse ball.
Let's say something about Mutombo's stamina. With Alonso out of the ball game for extended periods of time, Mutombo has had to play both ends of the court and doing it exceptionally well. Another great block. He is in great condition.
5 blocks for Dikembe Mutombo here this afternoon. Inside of 4 now in regulation.
Against what amounts to a professional front line in terms of abilities and size.
Thompson hands to Owens. Three-point Syracuse lead, but Georgetown has hit its last 7 against the Orangemen.
Half hook,
looking for it, and he's fouled by Ellis. And that's the 3rd on LeRon Ellis.
You could see Dikembe looking for that half hook the minute he touched the ball. Ellis doesn't have big stats, Brent, but he is doing a nice job defensively on the inside, which frees up Coleman and Owens to do their thing.
With 4 personal fouls, Mourning checks back in at the 3, or with 5, I should say, at the 3:18 mark. Remember, they're playing the 6-foul rule, and he has 5. One more, and Alonzo Mourning has scored only 4 points in the game.
And 1 rebound, Brent, and if he was smart coming in now, he'd kind of stay out of the offense and try to be the guy that rebounds missed shots the rest of the way.
It's a 2-point Syracuse lead.
And see who Syracuse tries to go to. They've got Alonzo playing the zone. He's playing out on the wing in a 1-3-1. They can't go one-on-one on him. So get that idea out of the attack. Jimmy Boeheim wants him to pull the team out of that zone a little bit. Use some clock here.
Mourning out on Thompson. Now he'll jump back.
Craig Esherick telling his club to pull back into a tighter zone.
Thompson with a bounce pass to Coleman. Has to battle to keep it, and against the shot clock, he had more seconds than that. He actually had 6. He misread it. Mourning breaks free. And Alonzo Mourning ties it up at the 2:30 mark.
Brent, remember early in the game we were trying to see whether this is going to be a 90-point game or a 70-some point game, and it seemed like Syracuse got that major swing, and it looked like it was going that direction. Now it's back to a Georgetown game where you start using up 20 seconds or so on the clock. Not what Syracuse wants.
So Alonzo Mourning's three-point play puts Georgetown ahead by a point at the 2:25 mark.
And that zone is going to pack way back in there now.
And timeout for Boeheim and Syracuse. So the lead they seized with 2:14 to go on the 3 technicals against John Thompson now dissolves in the second half.
It's Monday morning in Ford County.
That full-size Chevy pickup sure has a more advanced design than Ford.
Now that you mention it, the lines do remind me of modern neoclassic sculpture.
I see a lot of Bauhaus influence.
The understated simplicity even contributes to greater fuel efficiency.
Form follows function. High fuel efficiency. No wonder people from Ford prefer Chevy trucks. Nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America. Today's truck is Chevrolet.
Welcome. This way. Beautiful things.
Cool. Ed, look at this. What is it? It says to get Genie Rub Light. Rub Light? Rub Light.
It says to get Genie Bud Light.
The clean, fresh taste of Bud Light won't fill you up and never lets you down.
Okay, Ed, now you get a wish.
Bud Light, because everything else is just a light.
The key is the pump.
I'm able to pump myself up. I don't know the mechanics of it. Push this in as many times as you want. Tights around your ankle.
Felt like a tailor-made fit.
When you want to release, it's a little button back here.
Press it and air releases.
I think somebody might sneak up behind me, push my release button, let all my air out.
Some people like BMWs. I like gym shoes. Pump it up.
A man who can fly meets a bird who can soar. Michael, Larry, a Beantown Dazzler.
Well, Craig Esherick, the 1982 graduate of the Georgetown University Law School, doing a good job replacing John Thompson here as the boss man of the Hoyas. Thompson ejected after picking up 3 technicals.
And Brent, Mike Riley and he are like co-assistants over there. They are 5-1 in acting as head coaches in John's career. And usually the guy who calls the most shots is the guy that scouted the particular opponent they're going to play. So 5-1, and they're on a nice roll right now in the second half.
Hopkins back for Syracuse, along with Edwards, Thompson, Owens, and Coleman. And you would think that it's about time to try to get Billy Owens into this flow offensively. Coleman on a turnaround, missing. Mutombo rebounding.
You can't say enough about Dikembe Mutombo. He does not go for the fakes. He goes up with 2-handed rebounds. Really has been a force here today.
Hoyas lead it by a point. 1:43 in regulation.
I'm surprised they have not gone to their 3-guard offense now with the lead. Spread Syracuse out some.
That's 4 on Hopkins. As they put Jefferson on the free throw line here at the 1:38 mark.
Brent, one of the marks of a team that really knows how to get their offense going at half court is how many free throws do they shoot opposed to their opponents. In the case of Georgetown, they have made 60 more free throws this year than their opponents have shot.
Hopkins off the miss, so the strategy pays off. Syracuse ball, down a point as Jefferson misses the front end of a one-on-one.
The 1-3-1 zone stays. Alonzo on the baseline. Derek needs to step out on the zone to get his jump shot.
Owens looking for a receiver as Mutombo would seal him up. Loose, Mutombo has it. Knocked away, stolen by Derek Coleman. Wraps the ball up and ships it over to Edwards. A big move by Derek Coleman.
I think they ought to bring Derek outside a little bit, let him look for his jump shot. He's getting buried down inside on the zone.
26 on the shot and 40 on the game.
Derek's not touching the ball.
Owens against Mourning comes up. Misfiring, and it's Coleman, and the foul inside will put Derek Coleman on the free throw line.
Dikembe Mutombo gets the ball, doesn't realize Derek Coleman is coming in from behind. He really should have brought that ball down or got it off. The other thing on that play, Brent, if Derek had taken that ball down under control, he'd been walking, obviously not.
So it's only fitting that after 4 years, Derek Coleman's career at the Carrier Dome comes down now to a pair of free throws. He misses the first, and now a chance to tie it. Ellis into the lineup, and Edwards will sit down. He'll go big for rebounding purposes
and for defensively. I'm surprised Craig Esrick doesn't come back with Edwards himself. He is.
This is David Edwards in for the Hoyas.
See, now they can go with their 3 guards. This is exactly where Georgetown would like to be.
And
3 guards and the ball.
Love to have Charles Smith weave the length of the floor along about now. Last shot time for the Hoyas. We're tied in regulation. They'll take their chances with a final shot. Edwards loses it. Out of bounds, tied up. And it's Georgetown's possession. So 7 seconds to go, and Esrick wanting a timeout.
Every evening, we pack 700,000 passengers onto our planes. No drinks are served, no meals are prepared. Yet our customers love our service, like our UPS Next Day Air letter. Guaranteed overnight delivery to any address coast to coast. And at just $9, far less than other companies charge, no one seems to mind that there's no in-flight movie.
What's it take to win in college basketball? What's it take to win in 7-Up's college basketball championship game? That hard work could win you a limited edition Ford Mustang or a chance at prizes worth $20 million. So start practicing. 1 in 12 are winners.
At BASF, we don't make the drink. We make it tastier. We don't make the suit. We make it racier. We don't make the meal. We make it healthier. We don't make the music, we make it clearer. At BASF, we don't make a lot of the products you buy. We make a lot of the products you buy better. BASF, the spirit of innovation.
Well, the Big East regular season title perhaps coming down to these 7 seconds. And, Billy, what do we expect from Craig Esherick here in the Hoyas?
The first thing that he has to be concerned about with the ball out on the sideline is how do you get it inbounds? Sometimes you set up a play, don't concern yourself with getting it inbounds, and it's a problem. You can see Syracuse will go for the steal in the inbound. Second thing, I think the ball will be in Tillman's hands, taking it to the basket on Stevie Thompson, Syracuse best defender, with Mutombo and Mourning trying to be there positioned for the missed shot. Looks like Boeheim wants to see the play.
And Syracuse will not challenge the inbounds pass. Mourning coming out.
He's got the lane.
He's got it.
He's got the lane.
But he was fouled before he shot. He was fouled by Ellis with 4 seconds to go before the shot. No basket. He'll come up to the free throw line.
And Brenny never had a chance to get into the play. There was such a fine lane there for Alonzo Mourning. You'll see it developing right here. Alonzo was just supposed to be the inbound pass. He puts it on the floor. Mutombo blocks out Coleman beautifully.
The reaction of Craig Esherick and the Georgetown bench. And now with the score tied at 79, and Alonzo Mourning at the line. He struggled with a 7-point game. And he puts the Hoyas ahead.
And now Mutombo drops back for defensive purposes. Jimmy Boeheim probably wanting to get the ball up to half court and call a time.
He's got 4 seconds. They'll have to hurry.
He's only got 1 timeout left, so I think he should get it up to half court first and then call the time. Not call it right after this shot. Nice throw.
Makes them both. 81-79. 4 seconds to go, and the final timeout for Boeheim. We'll be right back.
It's the fresh-cracked grade A egg, Canadian-style bacon, golden melted cheese on a toasted English muffin that gives Egg McMuffin that classic one-of-a-kind taste. It's the 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, and onions on a sesame seed bun that makes Big Mac a one-of-a-kind classic. Big Mac and Egg McMuffin, 2 great tastes, only at McDonald's.
Yo, Mars Blackman here with my main man, Michael Jordan. Yo, Mike, what makes you the best player in the universe? Is it the vicious stumps?
No, Mars.
Is it the haircut?
No, Mars.
Is it the shoes?
No, Mars.
Is it the extra long shorts?
No, Mars.
It's the shoes then, right?
Nah.
Is it the short socks?
No, Mars.
Money, it's gotta be the shoes. 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 You sure it's not the shoes?
I'm sure, Mars.
What about the shoes?
No, Mars.
Money, it's gotta be the shoes.
Well, this game has featured just about everything. In the first half, Coach John Thompson was ejected after picking up 3 technicals. Jimmy Boeheim and his Syracuse team turned it into a 10-point play. Now Alonzo Mourning's 2 free throws put the Hoyas up 81-79. 4 seconds to go. The clock is ticking. It'll be Owens. He'll have
he called a foul! He called a foul!
Has been called on the Hoyas. And Billy Owens will come to the line at the 1-second mark.
Why would Jefferson have contested Owens? He has got him 40 feet from the basket with no opportunity to take anything other than a desperation shot, and he reaches in on the dribble. Georgetown's playing exactly what they want. No reason to reach in here. Yes, 1-1. Jimmy knows he got a reprieve there. He said that's a foul, and he's right.
Now the front end, and Anthony Allen tries to get on the floor to give the Hoyas a little more size and experience up here. He has checked in. And the Hoyas will attempt to freeze Owens a little bit with a timeout.
So much to do and so little time. When it's time to finance or lease your new GM vehicle, let GMAC do it right in the dealership. GMAC. Nobody wants to get you into your new GM car or truck faster, so you'll have time for more important things.
Well, Billy Owens will come up to the free throw line, has been perfect there today. He is 4 of 4. He scored a total of 17 points. In their first meeting, he exploded for 36 points. And now he'll be shooting 1-and-1. And another key here is if he misses that first one, somebody like Derek Coleman with a second to go will try to battle his way to the glass. And I'm sure that Esherick and the Hoya staff are reminding Georgetown that they're going to have to block out here at the line if he does miss one.
Put in a bigger lineup. He's got Alonzo Mourning and Mutombo and Allen in the game. But just a mental breakdown by Jefferson on that reach-in. Georgetown had the ball game won. And Billy Owens, a 74% free throw shooter.
Be headed for overtime. Overtime. The Big East regular season championship will be decided in overtime. Billy Owens, his splendid sophomore, steps to the line with 1 second to go. And the coach not wanting to look. What a marvelous picture that is of Jim Boeheim. We'll be right back with OT.
It's the fresh cracked grade A egg, Canadian-style bacon, golden melted cheese on a toasted English muffin that gives Egg McMuffin that classic one-of-a-kind taste. It's the 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, and onions on a sesame seed bun that makes Big Mac a one-of-a-kind classic. Big Mac and Egg McMuffin, 2 great tastes, only at McDonald's.
What's your first priority? Miss Crowley.
Well, I'm assuming there's product in the pipeline, so...
Assuming, Miss Crowley. Unfortunately, assuming doesn't feed the bulldog.
The top business schools prepare you for every eventuality you will ever encounter in the business world, except one, business travel. We've got that one covered. United. Come fly the friendly skies.
How can Miss Crowley's 3-person sales force stay on top of her far-flung enterprise?
Banks is telling that fella it's a great day to play 2. And here we go to overtime. Georgetown and Syracuse tied up at 81.
Brent, both get an extra timeout here, so both teams now have 1 timeout left, but you don't get extra fouls, so Alonzo Mourning sitting on 5.
To Edwards and Syracuse ball. So the careers of Derek Coleman and Stevie Thompson just won't end. And on the turnover, Hoya's ball.
Brent, you often see an overtime go with a team that has the momentum. These clubs in overtime against each other are 2-2. Oh, there's a hold off.
That's number 4 on Coleman. Now, if Syracuse wins it, they will be seeded number 1 in the Big East tournament next weekend in Madison Square Garden. They will be tied with Connecticut, but they win the tiebreaker. But if Georgetown wins this game, there will be a coin flip immediately after the game between Georgetown and Connecticut to determine the number 1 seed. He has played a splendid game here today, has Mutombo. He has really been a mighty warrior, hasn't he? Gone all the way in the second half for the Hoyas. 17 points, 10 rebounds, 5 block shots. Can't do much more than that.
You know, he just wills them in the big game. He doesn't have great technique in that foul line, but he's such a competitor. He just forces that ball down the hole. Back to the zone.
Thompson tapped in for the tie.
Billy Owens.
And Owens now with 21 points.
Derek picking up full court. Better go back down and get good position against Mutombo.
Morning deep to Mutombo, and it was a little bit too high. It's hard to say that when you throw the ball to Mutombo, but that one was.
Alonzo had a good idea, but he was off balance with Ellis coming out there to try to make the steal.
Thompson again getting inside, but now it'll be Owens.
Oh,
it's a two. Close, but only a two.
Since he hit that jumper from the other side, he has been on fire in the last 4 or 5 minutes of regulation and now in overtime.
Largest on-campus crowd ever to see a college game. 33,000, and are they getting their money's worth?
No, Stevie Thompson has really shut Tillman out of late.
And Bryant is fouled. Owens reached in on him, committing his third personal. And of course, we're going to be going right to the NBA as soon as this Big East action is over. The Bulls jump ahead.
And Brennan, NBA action. How about what Ronnie Cycli, the Syracuse man, has been doing lately? And a center from Georgetown not having a bad year either. Patrick Ewing. Maybe MVP proportions. Jimmy getting advice from everybody right now and wanting to hold it on off.
And Bryant, who also has played a fine game here today, will attempt to tie it. 3:13 to go in overtime. Deadlocked again at 85.
Bryant trying to hide behind the Syracuse players to make the steal on Edwards. Billy gaining confidence with that jump shot. Good ball fake.
Coleman wants to go to work.
What's happening right now, the zone is so porous out front. Syracuse is dribbling the ball to the center and getting easy shots. High-low post action. Trying to get Tillman free. Can't do it. Stevie Thompson, great defense.
Has to give it up. Great defense, and Jefferson hustles out with the ball. He saved it.
The shot clock didn't go off. He said he was shooting the ball, and he doesn't get credit for a shot. It's a pass, so the clock down to 5 seconds.
Rejected again, and Bryant comes back with it.
Now, that should have been a shot.
The shot clock expired.
No, that should have been a shot. The shot was blocked. And when you release the ball on a shot and it gets blocked, the 45 seconds should have gone back on again. This is not the pro game.
But they ruled that he was passing, apparently, because it's Syracuse ball, 87-85 Orangeman lead inside of 2 minutes.
Good solid screen for Billy Owens. Good spacing and team movement here by Syracuse. Georgetown spread out.
Thompson battles his way in.
Mutombo again.
Derek Mutombo up with the loose ball, and Georgetown will come back and a chance to tie it again.
Mutombo never even shows signs like he's weary. He runs up and down the floor both ends.
Georgetown has not gotten a shot off in overtime. There's their first shot, and Mourning will step on up to the free throw line.
And Brent, with Alonzo with 5, I'm surprised that Syracuse hasn't at least one time tried to pump the ball down inside and get him out of there, because he's such a force and a good free throw shooter as well for Georgetown.
Now both Coleman and Mourning playing with 5 personal fouls. is a 1-point Syracuse lead. That's the time remaining in overtime.
Is it trying to keep
Boeheim wants a timeout. He'll take a timeout here with 56 seconds to go. They'll have 36 on the shot, and Syracuse leading it by 1.
It's Wednesday morning in Ford County.
Hey, Dad, is it really true that full-size Chevy pickups have more two-sided galvanized steel than Ford?
That's right, son. The electrolytic deposition of zinc on steel protects it from chemical oxidation.
But I mean, if it helps stop rust, how come a big company like Ford doesn't use as much as Chevy?
I don't know, son. I just don't know.
Rust protection. No wonder people from Ford prefer Chevy trucks. Nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America.
Now it eats these things, all right? It opens its mouth, and it goes. Here, see what-
Peter, no TV till you've had your breakfast.
Now it eats these things, all right?
Well, don't worry, Mr. Bowen, you're covered.
Thank you.
It's automatic when you use the American Express card.
Lost, stolen, or damaged. A way to protect the things you buy.
I'm on my way. Boise?
When your travel plans suddenly change,
You gotta help me. I checked my case to Boston, now they want me in Boise.
it's good to know Delta's got a team like Compass
Walt, I need a recheck fast.
to Price
Large sample case?
to Morris
number 0479.
to Ellards.
I got it.
Great job, Walt. No problem, Mr. DePrima.
Thanks.
Mr. DePrima, Mr. Michael DePrima, please call your office.
Walt? About that bag.
Well, in case you expected to see Michael Jordan weaving his way toward the hoop right now, this is overtime. Big East regular season title coming right on down to the last 56 seconds of overtime, and who knows after that. It's 87-86. Syracuse with the lead over Georgetown, and the Bulls still ahead of the Celtics.
And Brent, I'm really surprised at that last timeout by Jimmy Boeheim, because now he has none left. Georgetown, big advantage in that respect. They also have the arrow in their favor. The only thing not in their favor, they're behind.
They're down toward 25 ticks of the clock on the shot clock.
About 20-second differential here.
Now 10 seconds on the shot clock.
Got the ball in the hands of the right guy.
Great pass to Thompson. It's a 3-point lead.
High-low, trying to get Tillman open for the three.
And Ellis reached in on Mutombo and fouled him with 9 seconds to go. His 5th.
But Brent with a 3-point lead, the best they can do on this one-and-one situation is to be still down 1. Now, it's a set play here. We're going to see Tillman coming off a double screen, trying to get him open for the 3. Thompson does a good job fighting over.
Boeheim watching from the Syracuse sideline. No. All he can think of is you make the first one, miss the second one, and somehow Alonzo Mourning, or one of the other Hoyas, gets a hand on it and taps it in here at the 9-second mark.
I think that was a blessing for Jimmy Boeheim, Brent, and I'll tell you why. I think Tillman's the kind of guy you got to worry about banging in the 3-point shot. Now a lot of things have to happen for Georgetown to get back into this a tie situation.
Well, the first thing that's happened is Alonzo Mourning is off the floor. He makes the first one. Still 9 seconds to go. Mourning standing.
Now here's why. Here's why he's on the floor. They're going to foul immediately if he makes this shot, and they don't want Alonzo to have to be a guy to commit a foul.
But they miss it, and they needed somebody to tap it. And it's thrown out of bounds by Syracuse. And now the Hoyas have a chance here with 5 seconds to go. Can you believe that sequence? 89-87.
And Brent, the play that we could expect to see is that double post pick to try to get Tillman open again. Remember the last time they set it up, Alonzo Mourning was able to drive from the top of the key right on down inside against Ellis and went to the line.
Mourning reporting back into the game as Mutombo hits his first and missed the second, leaving it at 89-87. Syracuse with the lead and 5 seconds to go. Connecticut at 12-4, awaiting the outcome of this game. A Syracuse win, and they'll be seated #1 in the Big East. A Georgetown win, and Dave Gavitt will flip the coin.
And imagine that could, depending how things work out right there, if Georgetown were to win, it could put a Syracuse-Georgetown right back against each other in the same bracket. So you can imagine what Jimmy Calhoun and the Connecticut players are rooting for right now.
So it's remarkable here that Georgetown has not been able to convert from the field. And moments ago, this was the second free throw. Now watch the battle underneath. Coleman reached to save it and then shipped the ball out of bounds on the far side, giving the Hoyas the ball. Ronnie Thompson will throw it inbounds. They don't contest it. They go again to Mourning on the jump shot. Way off. Missed everything. And Syracuse is the regular season Big East champion.
They tried everything they could to get Tillman the shot, but Syracuse's Stevie Thompson did a great job. It goes long. Tillman and Thompson rush for it, but Derek Coleman does a great job, and you can see what Jimmy Boeheim thinks of it. He's been hiding over there all day. Stays with it. Big win for Syracuse. Huge.
And as a result, Syracuse wins the tiebreaker because they swept Georgetown this year. They will be seeded #1. They'll play the winner of the elimination game between Pittsburgh and Boston College. Seton Hall will open with Connecticut, and Providence against Georgetown. They're in one bracket. Syracuse and St. John's in the other. Now our Chevrolet players of this game. What a great game Dikembe Mutombo played for the Hoyas. And Derek Coleman, in his final appearance here in the Carrier Dome with 27 points, and a check in the amount of $1,000 will be donated to each college's General Scholarship Fund by Chevrolet. So for Billy Packer and Greg Gumbel,
the stretch of the back. This guy has the most superb position of anybody in the world of skating, of amateur skating today. Again, a triple Lutz.
This program was so good it created the first standing ovation of these championships Friday night.
Look at the position of that free leg. The twist of the head, the back. Just terrific. You know, it couldn't happen for a nicer guy. He's worked hard. He has not let the fact that he's been inconsistent in jumping over the years deter him for 1 minute. He keeps coming back and keeps working at it. And isn't this standing ovation just terrific for him? And you can see in this opening jump combination. Watch first the stretch of the leg way back, the straight toe pick there. Look at the height on that. Look at that height. The revolution, the straight legs, the tightness of it, and the second jump clean and following through. Now that's as good jumping as anybody in the world of skating.
Under ultimate stress.
There he was waiting for his marks, which reflected the performance, required elements. Crowd thought the mark should have been higher, as it was 159, 156, and the rest 5.7s and 5.8s.
5.8. Well, the reason there wasn't a higher mark in the technical elements was that he didn't do a triple axel.
5.7.
And then he awaited his marks for composition and style, and they were good enough to move him into second place overall after the original program.
5.8. 5.8. 5.9.
Donna De Verona was there to talk with him.